Hello, hi, and welcome back to the Strategic Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Blue, and I'm a business astrology consultant here to help you use astrology so that you can start, grow, and scale your online business. So over the course of my work, I see a lot of things that online service providers are doing right when it comes to bringing astrology into their business strategy, but I also see a lot more mistakes. So in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down 3 of the most common mistakes that I see online service providers do when it comes to aligning their business with their birth chart. So if you want to know what those are and how you can make adjustments if you are making these mistakes, then keep listening. Bringing astrology into your business strategy isn't a perfect science. It takes a lot of trial and error, but once you understand what the process actually looks like and how to make the best use of it based on your business, your experiences, and your personal birth chart, then the process becomes so much easier. So I want you to take this episode with that in mind and understanding that even if you are making 1 or 2 or all 3 of these mistakes, understand that it's very common, especially if you are in the beginning stages of figuring out how to align your business to astrology, or even newer to business strategy or business astrology, respectively. So I want you to use this episode as a guide to really audit where the challenges are most prominent for you within your business and take the advice that I'm going to give on how to get started when it comes to making those necessary adjustments. So starting off, let's talk about the first common mistake that online service providers do when it comes to aligning their business to their astrology, and that is over-identifying with their sun sign for business decisions. Overall, this really comes from an idea that I see very often from folks that are using astrology to grow and scale their business in general, which is that they're seeing their birth chart as a solid absolute on what they should and should not be doing. And what I mean by that is they follow pop astrology and they're looking at, okay, if I have a Sagittarius sun, that means I can only do things that are akin to Sagittarius that are ruled by Jupiter. Those are the only careers that I can consider. I see this also when it comes to conversations around the midheaven as well. People thinking that, okay, just because I have a Libra midheaven, I can only work in the beauty space. When in reality, your birth chart, no matter what placements you have, it's meant to be a guide, specifically a guide to what is going to be the most aligned for you. So this isn't meant to be a way to pigeonhole yourself to only certain industries or certain careers, but instead really understanding that no matter what it is that you want to do, you can do it, and you're going to do it in a particular way that's aligned to the energy of your chart. That's really what business astrology is all about, understanding what that energy actually looks like for you and how to make the best use of it by bringing that energy into all of the spaces that you enter. In general, I really see this most commonly done with people thinking that their sun sign is the placement that needs to define their career or their business brand. And in reality, that's not going to be the strongest placement. Unless the sun plays a specific part in your chart, it's not going to be the most potent placement to utilize when it comes to defining what your career or occupation should be, or even what your business brand looks like. And that's because if we go back to traditional Hellenistic astrology, the midheaven is actually going to be the placement that is most closely aligned to supporting this. It's why I center the midheaven in this process when it comes to aligning your business to your astrology. The midheaven is the first place that we look to for this, because the midheaven is the placement that connects to not just your career, but your career as vocation, your legacy, your public reputation, what it is that you are going to be known for. So when we're considering the chart, we really want to focus in on your midheaven and the specific details of your midheaven. So remember when I said the sun needs to be in a particular placement in order to really be relevant for this? I'm talking about if you have a Leo midheaven specifically, because Leo is ruled by the sun, making the sun your midheaven ruler. So this would be the only instance where your sun placement would actually play a really important part in making those business decisions. But overall, if you don't have a Leo midheaven, if you don't have the sun as your midheaven ruling planet, then there are other placements that are going to be more prominent when it comes to that. So when we're looking at what placements are going to be the most important when it comes to making your business decisions, you want to first and foremost look to your midheaven as a guide. You could also extend this to your 10th house, especially if you find that in whole sign houses, your midheaven falls outside of the 10th house. So if your midheaven midheaven falls in a house outside of the 10th house, you can also use the 10th house and its energy to really align you with what will be most prominent for you in developing your career, as well as understanding how you will build your public reputation. And then also considering the specific details of your chart as well, such as what sect you fall into. If you were born during the day before sunset, or if you were born at night before sunrise, that also plays a really important role in understanding the importance of the planets and how to best use them within your chart. The sun does play an important role in the sense that it represents our vitality and the things that we are drawn to. And so when it comes to business astrology, it can definitely play a role in understanding perhaps your personal brand and the way that you bring in your uniqueness, your experiences, maybe even aligning you to what you are naturally drawn to and uncovering what your niche could be or the problems that you specifically solve and the way that you show up in your spaces. But when it comes to figuring out the business foundations, the sun really isn't as important. If you find yourself over-identifying with your sun sign or thinking that your sun sign is the only placement to consider when it comes to business astrology, then I really want to encourage you to instead focus on the midheaven first and foremost, because this will really play a significant role. And especially when it comes to your midheaven ruler, that's going to be the placement that is really critical for understanding your business strategy and uncovering exactly what it is that you're meant to do and how you're meant to do it. If you want to learn more about the midheaven ruler, I actually have a whole podcast episode where I break that down even further. So definitely check that out after this one if you want to know more about why your midheaven ruler is so important. All right, let's get into the second common mistake that I see online service providers do when it comes to aligning their business to their birth chart, and that is not using and utilizing the wealth houses to establish your business foundations. This is actually a big inspiration behind why I decided to create my signature course, the Midheaven Method, because I was seeing so many service providers struggling with understanding how to create or refine their business foundations. And I realized it's because you're not aligning it to the specific wealth houses within your chart. So the wealth houses are the second house, the sixth house, and the 10th house, where your midheaven may or may not reside. So when we look at what these houses represent astrologically, they align almost perfectly to the business foundations that are essential for every business, no matter what niche or industry that you're in. And that is creating offers, establishing your marketing, and selling and delivering on your services. That's really it. So when it comes to aligning your business to your astrology, there's really no need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to try to scale and grow your business if it doesn't actually match your natural business strengths or resources that are available in the chart. This is where the misalignment comes in of feeling like your business no longer aligns with who you actually are and who you're growing into because it's not rooted in what your natural gifts and strengths are. The biggest way to overcome this is to use your natal chart as a guide in creating and refining your business foundations. Perhaps you want to refine your signature offer. Maybe you find that your signature offer is not really something that aligns with you, then you can really look to the energy of your second house to help guide and shape what that could look like. If you need to better structure your systems and your back-end structures in order to support that growth and momentum you want to call in, then the sixth house is where you're going to look to for that. And if you want to continue to grow and scale and perhaps align your business overall with where it is that you truly want to go and create your business in a sustainable way, then aligning your overall business strategy to your 10th house is going to be most effective. Of course, we have other houses that we can also bring in to support the growth and the sustainability of your business strategy. But overall, the wealth houses is where we would start this work and really establish what those business foundations are so that your business is able to be built on solid foundation. All right. And the last common mistake that I see online service providers encountering when it comes to aligning their business to their birth chart is ignoring the natural rhythm of your chart. So this is talking about your overall astrological energies that are present within your birth chart. And this is something that I see so often when clients come to me and they're struggling with burnout specifically, when they feel like it is really hard to remain consistent and present and want to show up for their business. Often I find that they're actually moving in a way that is in total misalignment with how they are naturally designed to operate. And this is also something that can be uncovered within the wealth houses, specifically with the sixth house. The biggest way to turn this around and fix this mistake is to focus on the natural rhythms of your chart, really understanding that we all work in natural energetic cycles. There are specific times in the week, in the month, even throughout the year that we're meant to be engaging in more front-facing work, really focusing in on how we grow our visibility, how we call in and grow our audience, our community members, get really visible in front of new audiences, right? Going really hard on selling and delivering our offers. And then there are other times that we're meant to take a back seat, that we're meant to operate more on the back end of our business, focus on fine-tuning the foundations that perhaps are bringing more challenges, and ultimately focusing on the internal back-facing structures that need our attention in order to maintain our growth and sustainability over time. So understanding that and knowing the natural rhythms of your chart specifically can really help you to grow and scale your business. This also gets into what I work with my clients a lot with inside of my one-on-one private astrologer program. We focus a lot more on the timing aspect of astrology. So really looking at both your natal birth chart, but also working with the transits to really understand when these specific times are for you and how to make the most of them when it comes to planning specific events within your business. So it's really important to create and design a business that aligns with your energetic rhythms so that you can avoid burnout and inconsistency naturally. So those are the three most common mistakes that I see online service providers engaging with when it comes to trying to integrate astrology into their business strategy. So again, use this to audit what's going on in your business and which mistake you are encountering, and how you can use these suggestions to make the necessary changes and pivots in order to get back on track. But if you want even more support when it comes to growing and scaling your business using astrology, then I want to invite you to work with me. There are two ways that we can work together, either inside of my Midheaven Method program or in my one-on-one private astrologer program. The links to both can be found in the description show notes below, so definitely make sure that you check that out, as well as everything else that I've mentioned in this episode. I can't wait to work with you and see you in the next episode. Bye.